This is a Sylvie study podcast, Chatchai Intensive Day 4. If you'd like to see the full video of the session, you can find it at sylviestudy.com. 1, 2, 3, go. So this is Chatchai Sasakun. He's a former WBC champion and was Trainer of the Year in Thailand in 2011. Here is his new gym, Sasakun, and I'm working with him on just like jab, cross, super basic stuff. I've been working on this waist twisting that he emphasizes, but not to the extent. He's showing what happens when you don't turn your waist. I don't turn it enough, like I don't exaggerate it. Wow, I can really see it from this angle. I couldn't see it as much in the mirror. But I actually suspect that my inability to turn as much with my left cross, and it's easier on my jab, is one, I practice my jab way more, and two, I'm naturally orthodox. So I used to twist a lot on my back side, and so it's easy for me to twist in that direction, but more difficult to do it reversed. So here he's trying to fix my uppercut, and my arm was coming at an angle that he was saying would not hit anybody. He wants it to kind of slip to the inside. So he's saying that you can fake the angle by coming inside more. So this is the trajectory I was doing, and I basically would hit his elbow. But if you slip inside more by keeping your elbow close to your body, then it's going to come inside someone's guard, and they won't see it coming. So this is my front hook, or front uppercut. That's my back uppercut. But he's showing how it comes between the guard. He's saying your body lies. The fake is with your body. He's like, the opponent's just not going to know what you're doing because your body looks like it's going to be coming at the angle that they're used to, but it's just slightly inside. See how he just came right under it? He's like, it's just a very little bit. So see how my body twists first, and then I come up the center, and I have to tuck my elbow towards my own belly button. And that's on both sides, because you want to come to the center of your opponent's body, which means you're punching to the center of your body as well. So he's using this word lock, which means to fake. But you're not faking in the term like the way we think of faking, of like jerking your body one way and then going the other. He's just angling his body slightly more than you expect, and so it comes inside. He's saying that the turning of the waist helps. What he means is it assists. Like that's what causes the angle to have power and to slip inside. So I was trying to like find relaxation and weight transfer, because that's what I've been learning from him. But he's seeing how tension in my body is stopping the full trajectory of my strikes. And so he's trying to show me here how to twist. And so all the power just comes from your waist twisting. He's like, if your body doesn't turn, it's just your arm. So if you twist your body, your shoulder can relax. He's like, it doesn't matter what weight it is. Like, it doesn't matter a big person or a small person. Everyone uses their waist to make that go. Look how pretty. Jesus, it's really fast, too. He's like, now I'm fat, so you can't really see it. But back in the day, my body twisting was more obvious.
He said not to focus on pulling back so hard, like you want to like Yeah, you have to turn with the general from the
So
waist,
right before
like the
Kevin
general
started the
base.
camera, he was telling me not to try to pull my arm back. Like, don't think about pulling my arm back. Instead, you want this kind of like bong, like at the end of your punch, that really puts the emphasis on the end of it, and it'll come back because you're twisting your waist. So both the trajectory of the punch and it coming back come from the waist. But don't think about snapping your arm back because that's going to put tension in your arm.
จะง่ายกว่าลองเอาเบาๆเบาๆเบาๆเบาๆแล้วก็ทำฟีลลิ่งแบบนี้
Look at the difference between what he was just doing with just his arms and then twisting with his waist.
ไปด้วยตลอดเอวไปด้วยตลอดบิดไป
He's like, you can feel it in your waist all the time. What I'm doing is not that, but I'm trying. I'm trying with my waist. I can feel that my arms are more relaxed. That's the point, is that when my waist goes, my arms are more relaxed. And so I told him my thighs get tense, and he's like, that's great. Like, not a problem. Your legs can get tight, but your arms won't. And since you're hitting people with your arms, that's all right. You just want to twist your waist. And eventually you want to not tense up your legs the way that I am. I could feel how I was off balance. Chatchai is all about feeling. He'll just talk about like feeling all the time. And when he's teaching you, you can feel when it's right or when it's not, which is so valuable from a teacher because then you can self-correct. So I could feel when I was doing things wrong and I could feel when it was getting closer to right. But it would take some like slowing down and experimentation as I was going. So now he's ragging on me. he's saying when I fight, I forget this weight transfer and I just punch with only my arm. I don't look quite like what he just did, but it's not that far from it either. He's like, if you're tense like that, it makes you slow because you're thinking too much. This is his whole feeling thing. You feel the punches. You don't think, how can I do this? What do I technically have to do? So I'm telling him that when I shadow box, I can feel what he's taught me, and it feels really good. But then when you put an opponent in front of me, I can feel that I'm not doing what he told me to do, but I can't get to it under that pressure yet.
มันก็ไม่ได้อะไรชีวิตต้องไปอย่างนี้เลยช่วงที่จะฮุกอ่ะต่อยซ้ายเสร็จช่วงที่ฮุกเนี่ยมาอีกหน่อย
See the difference between what he just did? He's starting with the cross, and then he's throwing a hook, and I was doing it from like a two-dimensional flat position. He wants me to jerk my right shoulder back slightly before throwing the hook, but the detail here that's hard to see because I can't do it, look at how he just throws me, is that the shoulder goes back in the socket. No, I'm not doing it there. I didn't understand it yet. But so, starting from your cross position, you pull your right shoulder back again a little bit, and then throw the hook. It's like loading a spring or like cocking a gun. Watch him do it. Watch his right shoulder. Boom.
Look how close his
Little
arm
bit,
is to his
little bit,
chest.
little bit.
Oh.
God, I don't want to be hit by that hook. See how fast it is? Like, you can't see it when he's doing it really fast, but you can feel it when you're doing it at that speed. So I'm like exaggerating it a little bit because I'm trying to learn it. But that's the idea, is that you're like further loading the spring or like pulling the arrow back just a little bit more. And then you do it on the other side too. So like before I throw that cross, I should be pulling my left shoulder back just slightly before throwing it. And when you watch him do it, you can see it's not telegraphing. So this is not a like, oh, people are going to see it. You can't see him do it. You feel it.
Watch your arm.
He's like, the more you do it, the more you'll feel it, and it'll be faster. Right now, you look like an ass. So it's the same with the uppercut. See how close we are? He's like, when you're this close, you can't hit anyone, but when you twist, then you have space. So by pulling that shoulder back, now there's space for me to throw a really good uppercut from like zero distance.
ปากเห็นไหมตอนที่ต่อยขวาไปเนี่ยมันธรรมดานะ
See
แต่พอ
how
ตอนดึง
shoulder
กลับเนี่ย
just
ไป
like
แล้ว
it's like a rubber band.
อ่า
So now he's trying to get me to collapse the two movements, right? So with my cross already outstretched,
อ่าใช่
that little
ทำ
snap
บ่อยๆ
with
ทำ
the
บ่อย
hook needs to
ๆ
come
พอมันเร็วปุ๊บมันจะมา
to
เอง
pull that
มัน
cross
จะมาเอง
back.
ทำบ่อยๆทำบ่อยๆรีพีทเรื่อยๆทำบ่อยๆปุ๊บ
But again, he's telling me do it often, do it a lot, and you'll feel it, and it'll like smooth itself out.
ปั๊บง่ายเลยนั่นแหละ
Look at the angle of his hook too. Kind of comes down, so pretty.
ใช้ความรู้สึก feeling ล้วนๆ feeling
One of the more
100%
amazing things
ไม่
about
ไม่ได้
training
ใช้
with Chatchai is he's like explaining something to you, and then he demonstrates it, and it's like
feeling แบบ
the most beautiful movement out of nowhere.
Combinations are shit. It's feeling.
feeling ล้วน
Look at how he's pulling it back in the socket.
ถูกต้องเนี่ย
First time I
เนี่ย
could feel.
นี่ธรรมชาติมากธรรมชาติ
So I can actually see in watching this, and I could
Watch your
feel
arm.
the slight release of
shoulder,
tension. Like I have tension in my movements, and that slight pullback in my shoulder releases tension in order to make that hook
เล
really
เวลที่
snappy.
สูงมาก เพราะ
It's
ว่า
fast
มัน
and it's
มันไม่ได้ใช้
strong.
มันไม่ได้ใช้เบสิกแล้ว มันใช้ความรู้สึกใช้ feeling ใช้เข้าใจใช่ไหม
ใช่ค่ะ
มันไม่ได้ใช้เบสิกพื้นฐานพื้นฐานมันก็
So
แค่ประมาณ
he's
แค่นี้
explaining to me
ดึงมา
how
ใช่ไหมนี่คือเบสิก
this is not actually a basic movement. This is a really advanced movement or a really advanced thing to be trying to feel.
มันลึกเข้าไปอีกอันนี้มันเป็น
The cool thing about Chatchai is that he's going to be teaching me essentially this for the next month, but the feeling I get in it is just going to be sinking deeper and deeper. It's like
สำคัญที่สุด
you don't go into a new ocean, you go into the same ocean, but you go deeper and deeper and deeper
ทุกคนเบสิก
in
ดีมาก
diving.
เลยต่อยโอ้ยสวย
So he's
เราเห็น
talking
ข้างล่าง
about how
ที่ต่อยสวย
very
จังเลย
advanced fighters and like the best fighters in the world, they just feel the basics better than someone who's just starting because they've done it so much.
ใช่
So he's saying that the best fighters, it's all about feeling. Like if you're looking at a fighter who's incredible, they feel those movements.
เยี่ยม
I can't see this in the mirror, but my hook is coming way too close to myself. I need to like reach out a little bit. This is why even if you look at yourself in the mirror when you're shadowboxing, you have to change angles, like go sideways, film yourself.
เราก็มาอย่างนี้ได้ใช่ไหม
I had no idea. I've been corrected from it, so I should know.
มันไปได้ไงก็ไม่รู้
This is cool too. The way that he throws his uppercut right there, it's almost like he's throwing it to the side of his body, but then because he's twisting his waist, it comes to the front.
มองเห็นไหมเห็นไหม
See how it looks like he's doing it to the
มัน
side
ไม่
of
ใช่
his
มาแค่
body?
นี้แล้วก็ไป
Because he is. And then he twists his waist and it comes to the front.
He does that like the general. It comes
It's
out to the
totally
side.
like Ajahn Tanwa Kom, who does
นั่นแหละ
Muay Karat and Lutrit, the Baran styles.
อันนี้มันเหมือนมีมันไปอันเนี้ยหัวไหล่เนี่ยโชเดอร์เนี่ยมันเหมือนกับไปหน้าไปหลัง
He's saying focus on the turning of the shoulders.
ไปได้
See how loose?
What
กลับ
is
มา
that?
He's
I
like,
can't
you
do
can just
that.
do your.
อันเนี้ยสำคัญ
But like in the same way that like your footwork, your shoulders are going like this. Before you throw something, there's that like back. So when you see boxers.
So I've
do
done
that,
this
like,
where I use
shoulder
just
press,
my
beautiful
feet
shoulder
and
press.
don't actually throw the punches to get my shoulders to go back and forth. And it's the same thing as that with just the shoulders themselves, like isolating out the looseness of the shoulder itself.
ช้ามากนะ
ปุ๊บมันก็ปั๊บ
He's showing how if you're tense, the punch is not going to come.
ปั๊บ
But look how tight. That's so
It
pretty.
relaxes a lot.
It's in the shoulder. Like it's
เวลา
in the
เวลา
actual
เข้าหาเป้า
socket.
แล้วค่อยปึ๊กซอง
Oh, I love when you can see boxers do that little like shoulder roll when they're doing shadow boxing. I can't do it, but he's doing it right now. Like he's isolating out that relaxation in the shoulder. I'm making a weird sound only on my left side when I throw this uppercut.
อันนี้
It makes a
อันนี้ไม่
squishy,
ใช่เบสิก
squeaky
แล้ว
sound against my
อันนี้
chin.
มันใช้มากกว่าเบสิก
ใช่
But that means that it's touching my chin, which is
มัน
good.
ใช้ความรู้สึกใช้เพราะบางทีเราต่อยซ้าย
He's like, this is like intermediate advanced. You have to like learn how to feel this by doing it a lot.
น้ำหนักหมัดดีแล้ว แต่ถ้าเมื่อไหร่ที่มาอย่างนี้ได้อีกอุ้ย
ใช่
มันจะมาเหมือนกับ
ใช่
มันไปอีกอะมาอีก
ใช่
Oh, see how it snaps against his jaw?
เห็นไหมมาอีกเห็นไหม
ไป
And he pulls it back just a little bit by doing that shoulder roll first. I can hear it. Standing next to him, I can hear it. And it makes this like sound. It's so cool. It's the actual velocity of his fist.
ที่เราอยู่ที่ฝึกแล้ว
Yeah.
ต้อง
Oh, I can see
little
the
bit,
difference
yeah.
between his and mine. I just can't quite feel it
Yeah.
yet. But he makes these tiny, tiny micro corrections all the time. They're so small, but they're important. It's like how you can get more speed out of your car by just making a slight change to the alignment or something. He's doing that all the time.
รู้สึกง่ายมากออกหมัดโอ้มันออกหมัดยับแต่มันปุ๊บมันออกไปแบบง่ายมากเพราะเรามีความรู้สึกที่หัวไหล่ดีแล้ว
ใช่ใช่
And he's like, you're going to be able to feel this in fights. You'll feel whether your shoulder is popping or not.
เพราะว่าอันนี้เราต้องหาว่ารู้สึกอย่างนี้อาจารย์แนะนำว่ามันไปทางนี้
ใช่
แต่ว่าเราก็ต้องหาความ
He's like, I can only teach you
ไปแล้วมันเป็นยังไง
that you're supposed to be doing this thing to like
เวลาซินวี่ชกซินวี่
move your shoulder slightly,
ถูกหมด
but I
แล้ว
have to feel it. If I don't feel it,
ตะ
it's
อย่าง
not
เงี้
the
ยถูกเลย
technique.
แต่ทำไมซินวี่บางทีซินวี่เตะหนักสู้เขาไม่ได้
เออ
He's like, when I see your fights, you kick good, your opponents kick good, but your opponents are feeling it,
มันก็
and you're
เรา
not.
พยายามหาให้
And
เจอ
that's
ว่า
very
เวลา
true.
เรายับ
Like,
เวลา
I
ยับ
do not
อาจารย์ยับเนี่ย
feel kicks the way that he's talking about. I'm not a
เคยยับ
kicker,
มันก็แตกยับกับน็อก
but
เยอะหลาย
I feel the clinch, which is why I can dominate in the clinch, whereas my
เพราะว่า
opponents
เวลาอา
don't
จารย์ยับ
feel
อาจารย์
it.
ไม่ได้ยับแค่นี้อาจารย์
They're
ยับ
lost.
ดูหัวไหล่นะเห็นไหมมันมานิดนึง
So he's saying he's actually knocked out a lot of opponents with just his jab because he's doing that slight pullback
ดึงอะ
ใช่
to make that power and snap. And then look at,
เหมือนกัน
you can see his lower body,
อืม
how it's like
อ่า
driving the power behind his turns.
อ่าเบามาก่อน
You can hear it a little bit when I do it, very slightly.
ถูกต้องเบา
It's
ก่อน
like
แล้วก็แรง
whoosh. So he says balmagon. That means soft first and then power at the end. Like
สำคัญมาก
if you try to put power in your punch at the start of it, that's just tension in your shoulder. You want power at the end of it, which actually comes from the looseness. It's like a counterweight at the end
ว่าท
of a string or something.
ำทำแข่ง
ไม่
ไม่
ได้
ได้
ไม่ได้ถูกต้องสวยนั่นแหละ
So I'm saying I have to relax my shoulders, otherwise I can't feel it. But if I relax my shoulders and I do the slight twist first, that slight twist causes my shoulder to relax. Like it has to release as you're pulling it back. You can't tense a shoulder as you're pulling it backwards.
นั่นแหละ
So now I'm trying to like add it into the combinations that I've been working on to try to get my footwork.
มาอีกใช่ไหมมันไม่ใช่ว่ามาแขนมาแต่
That
ที่
being
มา
said, footwork is not a combination. I use combinations to feel
ตรง
and wear those grooves really hard.
ท
อ่า
And now I'm trying to like stitch those
ำ
together
เวลา
more
ท
to
ำลุม
take away all of the
ลืม
hard lines, really.
คือใจเราคิดว่าเราจะรีบไง
So I'm saying
เรากลัวช้า
I practice this really well in shadow, and I know to come back to neutral between the uppercut and the hook, but then I forget when I'm actually throwing them, especially in like pad work.
มันอยู่ที่หัวเราคิดเองเราคิดเกินไป
He's like, if you try to be super fast, you're never going to hit anybody. It's not about speed.
ใช่
เราเร็วอยู่ในสปีดที่เราควบคุมได้แล้วเราก็
He's like, don't think so much about it. Just feel it.
ดีกว่า
ใช่ใช่
คอนโทรลได้the way คอนโทรลสปีดคอนโทรลพาวเวอร์
ใช่
ถ้าเราคอนโทรลได้ดีกว่า
ถ้าตัดไว้ที่
อืม
ทำยังไงดี
ตัดเวที
He's saying controlling speed and controlling power is more important than having speed and having power.
ทุกคนทำเป็น
Like having control of a gun rather than just having a gun
อ๋อ
is better.
บ็อกซิ่งเหรอก็ปิดเป็นงานปิด
So I'm asking him, how do you cut off the ring in boxing? Because in Muay Thai,
เวลาเราปิด
I know how to cut off the ring and I know how to like kick someone's legs to kind of corral them. But because I don't really think or don't feel how to use my hands so well, I'm asking him how to cut off the ring and he's like, it's exactly the same.
หาจังหวะไปแล้วก็
You like
ค่อยต่อย
kind of track someone down and then you use your jab to corral them instead of the leg kicks. I don't feel it, but I know what he's talking about. But you basically like move them into a position where you can then throw your power side.
ไม่ได้เหนื่อยหรอกแต่ว่า
He's going to show me in like a minute. He's going to track me around and throw his jab. He totally does it at this perfect interval where I'm trying to change direction in order to change direction, I have to post for like a split second, and he would nail me with a jab every single
เรารู้
time.
จังหวะเรารู้ด้วยแล้วที่ซิดนีย์หนี
And I'm like, you have to move first and then jab. You don't jab while you're moving. And he's like, totally.
จากจะตายอะไรนะจากจะตายอ่ะคือเราไปให้รู้จังหวะของน้ำหนัก
Right on me. See how every time I pause to try to change direction, he's hitting me?
เยอะ
Maybe you can't even see it in the video. I know that he's doing that because I felt it. But
But
that's what he's doing. It's the moment I try to change
You
direction.
keep jabbing, but you move first and then jab. When he was following me, there are moments when I have to post to like change direction, and it's just getting like nailed on every single like. Now I'm gonna go here.
Yeah, so now I'm
but
describing
you're
what
getting
that felt
tagged every
like.
time you stop.
ๆโอเคใส่นวม
So he's like, okay, put your gloves on. And do some
Sylvie
pad work.
ส้มนี่เว
This
ลา
is really interesting to me in working with
ชก
Chatchai.
ลมทำได้รู้สึกได้ว่าเวลาไปสปาริงเฮ้ย
ทำไม่ได้
ไม่ได้เลย
ยาก
So I'm explaining to him again that when I shadow
มัน
box,
ยากอยู่
I can do it. But then when I have to target, it doesn't work. What I was just thinking about is that when I hit pads with him, when I'm trying to target, I totally don't do what he teaches me to do in shadow, which is to feel it. So I teach myself how to feel things, and then don't allow myself to feel them when I'm actually hitting things. It's ridiculous. But you can see how uncomfortable I am
ออกพูดอย่างเดียวแต่ว่าตอน
moving around lightly. Like, I like to be really based all the time. And he's like, don't leap around and like frolic around, but like be light and track him and then throw that punch when I feel where he's trying to transition in his movement. But this, when I'm doing this, this does not feel like when I'm doing it in shadow. And then I'll try to make corrections in my head. I'll be like, just do it like you do it in shadow. And it'll fix things. Like my punch will come out faster. It'll come out harder. I'll be on better balance. So it's like a mind game for me to figure out how to walk on a flat surface versus how to walk on the exact same flat surface that's like a foot off the ground. It's not actually different, but I convince myself that it is by trying to like track a pad or target the pad.
เยี่ยมดีมาก
And then because I'm so focused on it, look at how stiff I am. Like,
แล้ววันนี้ปุ๊บมา
I'm not relaxed at all.
นั่นแหละเอวไปเรื่อยเอวไปเร็วปั๊บนั่นแหละ
So I'm not twisting my waist, so he's reminding me of it. And there you can see when I am twisting my waist how much you can tell in my
มาเร็วมา
knees.
มาเร็ว
Like when I jab, you'll see my right knee totally turn to the side. And then my left knee should do that on my cross,
สองลุกมาเร็ว
but I don't turn as much with my waist on my cross as I need to.
เยี่ยมดีมากเยี่ยมสวยงาม
I can feel when I'm doing this,
Waist,
these
baby, waist.
micro off balances where like I'm basically blowing out a line, like I'm coming out of my frame just slightly by like leaning out of it. And I can feel it. It's like when your car is misaligned or something. But
เยี่ยมดีพยายามทำไปเร็ว
because I'm so distracted by having to hit a target, I don't correct it with the feeling that I can correct when I'm doing shadow boxing. So I just need to collapse those two spheres because they're not actually different.
มาสามมาเร็วมาเร็วเอิบมาต่อเนื่องดีๆ
Waist and feet, baby.
So he's trying to get me to do these two 3-punch combinations back to back.
เอิบมา
The first one I came to him with, like I basically threw it somewhat automatically, and then he added the second one,
เอิบมา
and they come off of each other. Like it's the same left, right, left, right, left, right. Like they're just mirrors of each other. And again, he's basically
มาด้วยมาด้วยมาด้วย
teaching me how to feel different positions by putting these two mirror images back to
นั่น
back.
แหละเยี่ยมบิดเอวมาเยี่ยมมาเลยบิดเอวมายับมาเห็นไหมยับมาเอวมา
I can see how I'm not turning my waist on that.
เบิ้ลมา
I couldn't
เอิบมาเร็ว
feel it at the time. I totally think that I'm turning it, and I'm ending up really wide at the end of it, like basically square.
เยี่ยมดีมากมาเร็วตรงมาเร็วหนึ่งสองนี่มา
So here he's doubling things up to try to get me to come back to this neutral position between things, which actually would help my overall balance if I applied that to all of these strikes.
No feet. Because
ไม่มีขานะ
I forget about my feet. I have no feet.
you have to take the power down. You're in your hands too much.
I can feel how off balance I am because I don't
Yeah, but it's your
start
hand.
from my feet.
You have to relax.
Like I get lost in my upper body when I'm punching,
feet, feet
and
and waist.
the upper body is like the least important part of punching, counterintuitively.
เวลาต่อยซ้ายเนี่ยขาอยู่อย่างนี้ก็เอาขาอยู่ตรงนี้ตรงนี้
So here he's showing me that when I throw my cross,
Chai.
look at his feet.
มันต้องออกนิดนึง
In order to
ทิ้
balance,
งน้ำหนักไปทางซ้ายนิดนึง
he doesn't have like a super staggered stance. It's kind of square when he throws
นั่น
that.
แหละทิ้งน้ำหนักไปทางซ้ายนิดนึง
But see how he brings his weight to the front. He's not leaning to the front, like his head is not coming forward. He's bringing his weight to
การ
his
ที่จะเข้าตรงนี้เข้าขา
front leg.
ปักเขานี่ไม่ใช่อย่างนี้
Chai.
เข้ามาปึ๊กอย่างนี้นั่นแหละเข้ามา
So he's trying to get me to like punch down a little bit, just with my knuckles kind of coming down. It's a slight bend in the wrist.
ถูกต้อง
So there I'm turning better, but I'm not aware of how I'm turning better, so I kind of can't recreate it.
Chai.
บางครั้งส่วนใหญ่เป็น
He's like mostly punch down, and occasionally you can punch up,
Chai.
but mostly try to get those knuckles going down. Punching down is heavier, like it's a stronger punch.
ส
So when he comes with the pads, he does the footwork that I should be mirroring. Like he tries to get me to copy him and do this kind of like, to me it's like a balloon bouncing on the floor when the like helium has gone out. It's so light and kind of floaty,
ต้องดีมาก
but it is also
เนี่ยแบงค์น้ำนี่ไงเรียกเลย
based. Like
เขามาส่ง
you're not stuck to the ground, but you're weighted in a nice way.
เยี่ยมดีมากอย่ามาดีชมว่า
So my cross is coming out a little bit better because I'm pulling my shoulder back first.
แรงไหม
Chai.
And I slowly realized that in order to pull my shoulder back,
When
I actually started with my feet. I brought my weight
no.
back a little bit first, which I'm showing him there.
ดีมากเยี่ยม
Weight back, and then the shoulder goes, and then I can throw that punch. So he can feel that there's more power on it. And then the more I focus on my feet, the less I remember to pull the shoulder also. So I have to just feel the entire position rather than just one element of it at a time. But that comes from doing it over and over and over again to be able to feel it. But again, this is really looks quote unquote basic pad work, but I'm self-correcting every second of it. It's actually really hard and super instructive because I have to feel the difference between two very minutely different punches.
ดีมาเร็วปลาที่สวยดีมากปลาที่สวยดีมากอยากไป
So I'm moving my feet a little bit more because I figured out that weight transfer as part of the effectiveness of that cross.
ดันลงมา
And the way I'm able to figure that out is that he just keeps asking for cross, 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 so that I can feel and experiment with it in these super tiny ways.
ต้องก้าวเข้ามาด้วยไม่ก้าวไม่ถอยนี่แหละขยับนิดเดียวมาเน้นลงเนี้ยปุ๊บ
You can do this with any trainer, like any trainer holding pads for you. You can feel the difference between the kick that felt good and the one that didn't, and try to like find those grooves to recreate it. So for some reason, and I think it's because of the way that I don't twist my waist and I don't pull my shoulders properly, I can throw a jab well. Eventually I can throw a cross well, but I cannot throw a jab cross well. It's maddening. And I think it's that the anticipation of the cross distorts my jab. Like I try to rush through the jab to get to the cross, and that's not how that works. Like they need to be two distinct movements that you just collapse the time between. Like you make them into one movement by being really smooth. He was making me do this very slight
small,
step
like, transfer
to the
back
side
before
before
the
throwing
cross.
that second
Also
cross
the
that was really good.
shoulder rolls back a little bit. Yeah, with that and
So
relaxing.
here I was feeling that like lean back, helping, not lean back, but like bring your weight back.
ดูอิทเนี่ย
Your weight stays in the center of your body,
Là
but
ọt.
you bring it onto the back
ก่อนอ
foot.
อกอะก่อนออก before อะมันรู้สึกออก
Oh, look
ง่าย
at how he does that.
ๆออกมารู้สึกไหม
And look at
พอ
how loose his hand is.
มันเหมือนกับ
Pop, pop, pop.
ปุ๊บปุ๊บปุ๊บปุ๊บ
You don't have it yet, yeah.
That's what it feels like to him. Back forward, like bop, 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 bop. I can see it, and I know what he's talking about, but I don't feel it because I haven't done it correctly yet.
ก็ปกตินี่
So I'm explaining to him that I don't have good
ไม่
defense.
ใช่นี่
อ่า
ว่า
ที่จริงเอามาใช้ได้
So I'm showing him all these different blocks that you can use, and the long one we
คือ
use
อัน
in
นี้
Muay
มัน
Thai.
เวลาเราต่อยมันก็อยู่ตร
And
ง
he's
นี้
like,
แหละ
it's the same
อันเดียวกัน
ใช่
in boxing.
ใช่
ถูกไหมเวลา
He's like, because you keep your elbows in close in order to get your punch to come out straight and with
อันนี้
power,
ธรรมชาติของซีรี
you
ส์เลย
keep them inside for protection too. So it's actually not a distinction
ว่า
between offense and defense so much.
together
อ่า
so the elbow
So in the
stays
same way that you like
to keep your punches
twist
straight,
your
the
shoulder
elbow
back
stays
in
for
order to
defense.
spring it and throw it,
Movement.
ที่อาจารย์บอกว่าที่เรา
you
ทำ
can
อันนี้มันเป็น
protect on that side and then throw the power side.
เวลาเรายัดเนี่ยที่เราให้มันอยู่ตรงนี้เพราะว่าข้างขวาอยู่ไหน
He was trying to stagger my arms to show
ตรงเนี้ยพอเราอยู่ตรงเนี้ย
the protection, but I went
ตรงเนี้ย
orthodox
ผม
and he
รู้สึ
got
ก
confused
เว
for
ลา
a
มันดันออก
second.
มาตัวนี้ดันออกมาด้วยส่งมาด้วยเฮ้ยไปด้วยอย่างเงี้ยนั่นแหละตัวนั้นน่ะ
Waist, yeah.
So he's telling me to turn my waist to throw this jab.
เนี่ยมันไปด้วยเนี่ยทุกเนี่ยมันไปด้วยไปด้วยกันไป
So
ด้วย
he's
กัน
showing me
ต้อง
how you keep your elbow in tight and basically attach it to the hip so that they rotate
ไป
together.
ด้วยกัน
That's the same whether you're blocking or whether you're punching.
Yeah, look at his arm and
It's
his
like it's
and his
stuck,
waist
right?
come together.
อ่า
Yeah.
ทำ together ไปด้วยกันเลย together เลยนั่นแหละ
It's like your
นั่น
elbow
แห
is
ละ
stuck to your waist.
ที่ถึงจะแรงมาถึงจะหนัก
And then once you reach a certain point, it just like boom goes out
เพ
straight.
ราะว่ามันมีแรงช่วยจากตรงนี้มาด้วย
ใช่
ฝั่งนี้ทั้งหมดฝั่งนี้ทั้งหมดช่วยมานี่มันไปหมดเลย
So he's saying that
ตั้งแต่ขาตั้งแต่
you don't have to,
นี่
like,
นี่มันไปหมดเลย
use strength. It just is strong because of the technique, because it's all coming together as one thing.
อย่างนี้ใช้แขนอย่างเดียวแขนอย่างเดียวนี่ไม่ไปไหนเลยเก่งอย่างนี้
He's like, that's not powerful at all. Just the arm.
ท่านดูการชกทีวี
But then if you relax the arm and turn the waist.
มีคนไทยเป็นมาก
So I'm telling him I was watching this fight on TV that was Chatchai, which is just wearing
ทำไม
the
ไม่
ropes.
ส้ม
So you're not wearing gloves. Like you can punch really hard with Chatchai, just ropes.
ถ้ามีพลังแบบนี้
And I watched this guy hit this guy so many times and he just could not knock him out.
ตัวอย่าง
And the reason he couldn't knock him out is because he was not using
ใช่
บางคน
the
เรา
proper
มอง
technique
เตะแรง
to
มากเลย
deliver that
โอ้โห
power.
เตะแบบ
So he's
ตุ้ม
using
แต่ไปแค่
his
เนี้ย
own strength,
ไม่ไกล
but he's not
แต่บางคนเตะ
delivering
มัน
any
ไม่
of
แรง
it
แต่
to his opponent.
ไปนู่นเลยเพราะอะไร
So
เพราะเรา
Chatchai's
เตะ
like,
มันไปหมดเลย
absolutely. It's the same as kicking a soccer ball. Some people kick super hard and the ball doesn't go anywhere. And then some people look like they're not even kicking it hard and the ball goes all the way across the field. And it's that same twisting of the waist thing.
Yeah, yeah.
บางคนเตะแรง somebody kick power a lot why not go
Yeah.
allow here
He's like, some people use so much power and the ball just will not go. That's what you can see when people are punching with all their might and it's like barely causing anything on the
ว่า
opponent.
ถ้าไม่มีบาลานซ์
ไม่ดี
ตัวไม่ได้
ไม่ได้
แต่ว่าถ้าไม่รู้สึกว่าอะไร
So I'm saying that like when I practice, I understand. I can feel it. I totally understand the mechanics.
แต่ว่าถ้าไม่บังกัน
But if I don't have balance, I will not throw those
ต้อ
punches.
งท
ต้องเดิน
And in a fight,
ใช่ต้องเดิน
I don't
ใช่
feel that
มันไม่เหนื่อย
balance.
ำใช่
อันนี้มันเป็นการ
So I'm saying it's really important to have defense because when you have defense, you feel protected and you can go forward and you're on balance. And he's saying the balance is the defense.
จำไม่หมดอยู่ที่อยู่ๆก็เราก็ยกขึ้นมาเองธรรมชาติทั้งที่เรามองไม่รู้
He's saying, look how much you can move and you don't get
พอ
tired
อยู่ก็เตะมาเราไม่รู้
because
เรื่องเลย
you're
แต่เรา
just
ยกบังได้ไง
generating power from the twist.
ร่างกายเขาจำไว้แล้วว่าต้องทำแบบนี้
ใช่
นั่นเราก็ต้องทำให้รู้สึก เวลาเราเล่นลมเราก็ต้องมีเมจินเราต้องมีความคิดว่าเนี่ยเราชกอยู่
ใช่
กูชกอยู่อย่างเงี้ยเราต่อยตรงนี้เราต่อยตรงนี้ต่อยโดนตรงนี้ต่อยโดน
He's
ตรง
saying
นี้
if you think too
มันแม่น
much,
ใช่
you don't have defense or offense
จานนึกว่าคนอยู่ตรงนี้เลย
because you're just in your head. You're just thinking the whole time. He's talking again about how important feeling is.
เนี่ยมันทำให้เราสมองเราจ พอเราต่อยโดนเราจำเนี่ยเราเนี่ยหน้ามันอยู่ตรงเนี้ยเราต่อยโดนพอขึ้นไปชก มันแม่นเองมันย้ำแม่นยำเองเราไม่กำหนดหรอกกำหนดไม่ได้หรอกว่า
ใช่
ยืนอย่างนี้เราจะต่อยนี่ไม่ได้คู่ชกมันไม่แน่นอน
ใช่
เขาก็เคลื่อนไหวเหมือนกันเขาก็มูฟเหมือนกัน
ใช่
So he's saying that if you just practice this
ต้องมีความที่เรียก
jab,
ว่า
jab, jab all the time,
ใช้
this is what I'm going to do, this jab,
ติ้ง
and then the opponent
Instinct,
moves,
instinct แล้วก็
your jab doesn't work
ฝึกซ้อม
anymore.
แล้วก็
Like you have to have a
นึกไว้
feeling
จินตนาการ
for moving around with your
เพราะว่า
jab.
ตรง instinct
It's the
กับ
same thing
sparring
with
ใช่
defense.
ใช่
You can't be
ใช่
like, when they kick me, I'm going to block this way. That's
ใช่
my answer
เรา
to
ไม่
the
ต้องกลั
kick.
ว
You have to
ไม่ต้องกลัว
feel
เพราะว่า
what their
sparring
body
เนี่ย
movements are and what your body movements are in
ใช่
defense and
เรา
offense
แค่
together.
ป้องกันตัวให้ดีเราก็ดูว่า
And I'm like, you
แข็ง
can't
เรา
do
ก็
that
ต่อย
in
ดู
shadow
ว่า
boxing. You
ออก
can't
ให้โดน
learn
เราต้องกล้า
defense
บางคนเหมือน
in
กั
a
บเราไม่อยาก
vacuum
จะ
like
โดน
that. You
เลย
have to do it in
ใช่
sparring because
เรา
you
ไม่
have to have that
เอา
real
ไม่โดน
pressure.
นักมวย
And he's
ต่าง
like,
กัน
totally.
บอกว่า
In
เราสอน
sparring,
เรา
you
ม
wear
วยต่าง
big
บอกว่าต้อง
gloves.
โดน
So you get hit
ใหญ่แล้ว
and you
เรา
learn where those openings are and you
ให้
learn
ให้ใกล้ที่สุดแล้วก็
how to
หลบ
get
ที่
hit
หลบ
by
ที่แบบ
being hit, but without the
ไม่ต้อง
risk
อยู่ห่างๆแล้ว
of,
ตกใจไป
you know,
ไม่ได้
fight-size
ไม่ได้อะไร
gloves.
อยู่ใกล้ๆเลยแล้วก็ต่อยมาก็หลบใกล้ๆอยู่ใกล้
He's saying if you run away from people and use space to create defense, you can't do that. You want to stay in close. And the way you stay in close is by being on balance and having defense.
ต่อได้ต่อย1 2 3ต่อได้
So I'm saying that almost everybody
มัน
has
ไม่
a
ใช่แค่
pattern.
นั้น
They can't
พอ
help
เรา
it.
ต่อย
It's
เสร็
their
จเนี่ย
nature. It's
มั
like
น
how
เหมื
we
อนกับ
make
ว่า
things work.
พอเราต่อย
So they'll throw like a
ตึ้ง
3-punch
หยุด
combination and then
หยุดเลย
pause.
แล้วก็ไป
And you
เลย
learn
ไม่
to
ใช่
feel
ที่เรา
that
ต่อยปุ้งปุ้งปุ้ง
as
ปุ้
the
ง
person on the receiving end of it, and then you can throw the counter, like knowing where that opening is.
เหมือนกันอาจารย์ก็สอนนักมวย
And he's
การ
like,
There's the same
100%.
muscle memory if you learn
Everyone
through sparring,
after a
like,
combination
what
is going to
people's openings
pause,
are
but don't
when they're doing things.
pause, like
But you
flow it
also have to stitch
into the
together
next
your
thing with the
pauses,
weight
'cause everyone
transfer.
has natural,
And that's
like,
what he
1, 2,
needs with
3,
defense
stop.
too, is that it
And then you throw
flows
something,
in.
but you wanna make it so that it's not just this like, and I stopped and moved, like 1, 2, 3, bang, like it flows.
I do that. I totally
But-
stop. I like pause for a second.
Again, offense and defense are supposed to.
You can
like,
see it when I'm hitting pads, when I try to
together.
track him and I just like stop. I'm so not flowing because I don't feel the transition between things yet.
ซีวีจะเรียนอาจารย์เดือนนี้ก็ไม่ได้เรียนเยอะ
So now he's
ๆที่เรียน
saying
เดือนหนึ่ง
that he wants me to come in the
เดือนหนึ่ง
evenings
เดือนเนี้ย
to spar a little bit with his guys, which is really good because seeing me shadow box and feeling me on pads a little bit does not really give him a full picture
เปลี่ยนไปอีกคน
of
หนึงเลยที่จะกล้าต่อยขึ้นมันต้องมีบ้างนะตอนเย็น
difficulties
ต้อง
and
มา
struggles I have and limitations I have when having to do things under pressure.
ไม่เล็กๆเบาๆให้ก็ต่อยให้
So like
เราต่อย
taking
แล้วก็
everything that I'm
ต่อย
learning
ป้
from
องกัน
him and
ป้องกัน
putting it
โต้
into
ให้เรา
the
รู้สึก
like
ให้มีความรู้สึก
test kitchen
เพ
of
ราะตอนนั้น
sparring
อาจารย์ดูปุ๊บ
is going to
อาจารย์
be
เห็นไง
Sorry.
อาจารย์เห็น
really
ว่า
challenging and really good.
Sorry.
อันไหนมิด
Sorry.
ก็แก้ไข
Sorry.
ใช่ไหม
Sorry. He wants me to spar in the evenings at some point so that he can see.
Yes.
โยกไปดีอย่าไปสบายๆหลังจากยับเห็นไหมหลังยับเสร็จปั๊บเราก็ต้อง
Sorry.
มันไม่ใช่ยับปุ้ง
So he's seeing how I jab and then I just stop. It's something that Karahat complains about too, is that I just stop after things.
เอียงนะ
And what?
เอียงนะเอียงนะ
See how he's not jumping around everywhere, but he keeps
นั่น
moving.
แหละ
Like
มาได้อีก
there's a counter movement to every movement in your own body.
ต้องมาได้อีกมา
So now I'm putting that jab into the rhythm of me trying to move,
มาได้อีก
and it works better. Like it's flowing out and it hides it a little bit.
1 2ดีๆมาเร็ว
I could feel the difference. And then the more I focused on it, the less I could do it. It's like a caterpillar crawling around and you ask it how do you move all your legs at once, and once it thinks about it, it can't do it anymore.
ขยับมาเรื่อยขยับมา
Don't overthink it. Just feel it.
ขยับไปยกมาแล้วคง
So now my rhythm is better and the jab's coming out good, but I forgot about my waist on those
ดี
crosses.
มากกุไหลดีมากผมมาเยี่ยมดีมาก
So he's making me do the same one over and over again to give me a chance to like
ส่งมาเร็ว
feel and self-correct
เยี่ยม
those
ขยับไปขยับไป
small changes.
เบิ้ลมา
You can see when he like skips away from me, I'm not yet able to change speed. Which is kind of a big thing.
มาเร็วมาเร็วมาเร็วเฮ้ย
So now, because I'm doing a jab, cross, and hook on that combination,
ขยับมาดิพิ้งมาพุ่งมา
the symmetry of my shoulders going forward and back makes that combination really nice for me because I can feel
มาเร็ว
it.
มาเร็ว ลงมาเร็วดีเหยียบไปไหนไปไปเลยยกไปเหยียบไปเหยียบต่อยเสร็จแล้วเหยียบเยี่ยมดีจัง
If I slow down and kind of individualize my punches, I can remember to do the pull back of the shoulder and the like step with the feet. It's when I speed it up without feeling it that it kind of falls apart.
มาเร็วมาดีทุกครั้งดึงมา
It's also when I try to focus on power as like an abstract thing, like I'm going to punch hard, instead of letting the power come out of doing the one thing I'm supposed to be focusing on, which is the relaxation and the waist twisting.
สบายนั่นแหละมาทิ้งมาเยี่ยมมาไม่ต้องรีบเห็นไหมไม่ต้องรีบดีมากมาสองมาเร็วมา
I relax a little bit by trying to like follow him, and he keeps saying madongrit, which means like you don't have to rush. Like if he jumps away from me, follow him, but don't like tense up and freak out that I have to stay right on him. Like just keep the pressure at my own pace. So here he's getting me to step over to the opposite side before throwing that cross a little bit. And then I wasn't closing my shoulder into my jaw very much. By keeping that really tight, by keeping the elbow close to my body, it's going to stay up by my jaw and it's going to force me to turn my waist more. It's like a little cheat, what he told me, to try to get me to turn my waist more. I'm starting to get heavy on my feet again, like really planted. I can feel these moments when I'm not pulling my shoulder back to like a neutral position, and so I end up leaning outside of my frame instead to make room for that punch, and it takes power away and makes me off balance. So here he's focusing on that cross. He's telling me to go slow and just feel that cross. You'll see my feet move, right? So I'm standing southpaw, and as I'm twisting my left shoulder back, my right foot kind of taps the ground first, and then I bring my weight onto my left. So it's almost like I'm throwing a jab, but I don't throw my arm at all. He's saying that my arm is coming faster than my waist. They need to come together.
Yeah.
See how he moves it as one piece?
Or early. Hip.
Kevin says or early, like maybe the hip can even move before the arm. But moving them together is what Chatchai is talking about. He likes my jab. My jab is the thing that I've worked the most on because it was the first thing I understood in his weight transfer of putting your weight on the opposite leg from the side that you're punching with. So when I switched my stance, that was the easiest one to focus on. So you can see how my body stays in one position and then the punch kind of comes out of it like a rotation instead of like leaning my body outside of my frame forward or back or to the side. Look at when he does it. So if I need to close distance, I just step forward, but I shouldn't be like leaning my head forward or like reaching at all. So again, he's just making me do jab cross, jab cross, jab cross so that I can feel how to adjust my balance to make those fast, powerful, relaxed, all of these things that are kind of like side effects of having proper balance and twist. Bit L, that means like to turn your waist. So those were my first really good hook and cross because I came back between the two of them. I've never tried it on that side, so I'm figuring it out right now, like live, trying to do it on that side.
คือเวลาเราต่อย อาจารย์บอกว่าอยู่ทางซ้ายถูกไหมถูกซ้าย แต่เวลาเราต่อยเนี่ยบาลานซ์ต้องเทกลับมานี่นะ
See how he brings
บา
his
ลานซ์ต้อง
weight
อยู่ตรงนี้
ใช่
ฝั่งนี้
back
เวลาต่อย
first
ขวาเหมือนกัน
and then
เวลา
brings
ต่อย
it
ซ้ายเหมือน
forward.
กันซ้ายตรงซิลวี่ยังมีรู้สึกอย่างนี้หน่อย
So I'm leaning.
หน่อยเดียว
Like
ไม่
I'm
เยอะ
basically
นิดเดียว
leaning my weight back and trying to throw the punch.
บาลานซ์นี่
He's like
Right.
pouring
Up and down,
all of
straight
your
up and
weight.
down.
It's like a sliding scale. You like slide
Your
it
head
to
over
one
your
leg
foot.
and then slide
The
it
head
to the
over
other
your
leg.
foot.
บาลานซ์อย่างนี้เลยนั่นแหละบาลานซ์อยู่ขานั่นแหละปิดเข้ามาขยับเข้ามา
I'm starting to move that front foot a little bit, but I'm not like tapping it the way that I do when I punch from the opposite side. Like if I'm going to throw my right hook from the front, I tap my back foot forward first. And I should be doing that when I'm throwing the cross with my front leg.
ตีมัดดีๆมาเร็วตีมัดเลยเร็ว
He's trying to get me to like bring my weight over to the right a little bit on that cross.
เยี่ยมขยับไปอีกขยับไป
I'm
อีก
just not doing it.
ขยับเข้ามาเลยขยับมาเร็วเร็วขยับเข้ามา
But
เร็ว
he's just doing the repetition, like he's just making me keep doing it so that I can feel when it's right and when it's not, and then start making like self-corrections on it.
เฮ้ยดึงไปเร็วดึงเฮ้ยดึงเร็วดึง
It's amazing too because the corrections you need to make as you're becoming more tired are different than when you started. It's really incredibly instructive if you're aware of what you're doing. So there I'm remembering to bring my shoulder back between, but I'm not using my feet to get the shoulder to come. So I'm like isolating it and making it a little bit hard on myself.
นั่นแหละกลับมาให้หมดบาลานซ์กลับไปทางขานี้
So he pointed to my foot. He's like balance with the foot.
ดึงไปดีมากดีมาก
It all starts from the feet. Like the feet allow the twist of the waist and the shoulders, and then that's where all the power and speed comes
ที
from.
เดียว
And balance.
โอเค
I'm leaving my weight back on my cross a little bit. I'm like,
Uh,
it's got to come onto the.
when he leaned over to his cross, he put his head straight down.
Yeah.
อาจารย์
Straight,
อาจารย์เคย
straight.
บอก
Here
ว่า
he's gonna
เวลา
show
เรา
it.
ต่อยอาจารย์เคยบอกว่าเวลาเราต่อยซ้าย ตัวซ้ายเราไม่ใช่หนีอย่างนี้
So see how he's not bringing anything with him when he's throwing that punch?
มันดัน
But then he pulls his hip with him. And it's
It
balanced,
looks like his
it's
body goes this
powerful,
way.
and you kind of can't see it until it's already on
น้
you.
อยหน่อยนิดนึงนิดเดียวมาแล้วแต่น้อยแต่
It's
ข้าง
like
นี้
just a little bit.
เพราะ
Like
ข้างนี้
it's,
มันมาอยู่แล้ว
you just feel this slight
แต่
difference.
ข้างเนี้ยต้องพยายามทำอย่างนี้เยอะ
Thai.
นะข้างนี้มาสวยมากลองดูยับหนึ่งเห็นไหม
So he's like, your jab is great. Your jab is really beautiful, but you're not twisting
อีกนิดเดียว
on the cross.
เยี่ยมเยี่ยมนิดเดียว
What I was doing is like dragging my back foot,
เยี่ยม
but not turning my back leg. If you look at my left knee right now, on my cross, my left knee should start pointing to my other leg. Like it feels like it's so exaggerated that you'd be at risk of something, but you're actually like triangulated and super strong in that position.
ต่อยซ้ายดึงขวาสวยถูกต้องมีพลังต้องมีพลังต้องมีพลัง
So there's what he showed me at the beginning of pulling the shoulder back
พลังมาก
from the cross to the hook.
ต้องทำให้ธรรมชาติที่ได้ออกมารู้สึกนั่นแหละถูกต้องเวลาอยู่ใกล้ๆเราต้องการจะประคัดมันใกล้เกินไป
So now he's showing me again when you're really, really close. He comes up way close.
ได้ไหม
And I have to create room for that uppercut
มีช่วงแล้ว
by the exact same turn
เพราะใกล้ๆเราประคัด
and
มัน
pop
ไม่
of
ได้
the shoulder
มันไม่มีแรง
as that.
แต่ถ้าเราดึงไปข้างหลังปั๊บแรงมีทันที
My knee.
ไม่เอาเยี่ยมนั่นดึงกลับมาสวยเลยนะอย่างนั้น
So you can stay really close. You don't have to take a step back to create distance.
หาจังหวะอยู่ใกล้ๆไปงี้ไปไม่ได้แต่ดึงมันหน่อย
So he's showing how if you just try to throw it normal from like this close, you can't hit
อยู่
anybody.
ใกล้ๆเวลาหลายครั้งเวลาเราจะกลับจับตีเข่าอยู่ใกล้ๆเงี้ยแขนเราดึงนั่นแหละดึงแขนออกมาแล้วก็
See how he exaggerates the pulling back? That's what it feels like, but that's not what you're doing. and you exaggerate it in shadow, and then as you kind of like do it in a fight and much faster, you're doing the same feeling, but it's not going to look as exaggerated as that.
แกมาเร็วหน่อยก็ได้มาสัก3
It's
โมง
really hard to twist my left side, I think because I started orthodox. That's why my right side twists so well, is because that used to be the back side, so I used to have to like really turn it.
You have to lead with your hip.
So I'm
First
still
movement is hip, and
pushing
then
my
the rest.
arm
Yeah.
before the hip comes.
แค่ตรงเนี้ย
What's he saying?
only this
He's like,
yeah.
only your hip.
Only.
Like, everything I'm
Yeah,
teaching
yeah.
you, just concentrate on the hip.
she's from nature I think oh
He's like, if you learn how to feel that and be natural,
แต่ feeling ไม่ดี
so
เวลา
much
ต่อย
power. Like, he's
หลายๆครั้ง
basically
ก็อยาก
like
จะต่อย
your hindrance.
เวลา
Your
ซินดี้
handicap
ต่อย
is that you don't
ซินดี้
feel
อยากจะชก
things.
แต่บาง
If
ที
I start
ไม่ได้
feeling
มันต่อย
things,
ไม่
he
ได้
thinks I'll be really good.
คิดมากใช่แล้วมัน
I think
คิด
too
มาก
much.
เราต่อยก็ต่อยทุกอย่างอาวุธทุกอย่างที่เราจะอยากจะทำเราทำเลย คนที่เก่งคนที่เป็นระดับยอดมวย ส่วนใหญ่เขาไม่ค่อยคิดหรอกเขาเป็นมือ
He's
หมัด
like,
เราก็เห็น
anytime you see an
หมัด
incredible fighter, they
เขา
don't
ต่อย
think
โป้
a
ง
lot.
โป้งโป้งกล้าต่อยทำไมเขาถึงกล้า
They're
ต่อย
not in the
ทั้งๆ
ring
ที่คู่ชก
like
ก็รู้
thinking
ว่า
really
เขาเป็นมือ
fast.
หมัด
So to
เขา
call
ต้อ
it
งแก้
ring
มา
IQ,
แต่ทำไมเขาถึงกล้า
you're
ต่อย
actually talking about people who feel things really acutely and have practiced it enough that it's very natural.
เราทำอยากจะเตะเราเตะอยากจะต่อยเราต่อยเราจะแทงเราแทงเข้าในดีแล้วเห็นไหมมีดึงมีอะไรมีจังหวะหลายๆครั้งเห็นแล้วฝึกอีก
And it's every single piece of it. Like, if you're going to punch, punch. If you're going to knee, but you have to
พอเรา
feel
ดึงบ่อยๆเดี๋ยว
all of
เดี๋ยว
those
เนี่ย
things.
เป็นธรรม
Like, it
ชา
has
ติ
to be
ง่ายเลย
your
เข้าในไม่ต้องไปกลัวใครแล้วตีดึง
body
ท้องตึง
reading
หมดแรง
what feels right or not.
คนล้มไปหมดแรงเหนื่อยเจ็บด้วย
He's like, if you think so much and if you're trying to like force it and tense it, you're going to be incredibly tired. Like, you can't make it through.
อ่า
But when you see these guys who seem like they're just
เดี๋ยว
floating and dancing,
เราสัมมนาวันที่เท่าไหร่
they're like,
4 ที่ 5
they're
ที่
just,
พี่ต้อยด้วยไหม
it's like you're walking down the street. Like, you don't overthink walking down the
เขารู้
street.
ไหมอ่ะ
He's asking me about the Four Legends seminar.
นำขบวนว่าเขายัง
He's
ไม่รู้เรื่อง
talking about,
เมื่อวาน
he talked to Nam Kabun the day before.
นำขบวนบอกว่าพี่ต้อย
I really, when he's talking about this feeling thing, it's incredible to me because it's true not only in the ring or in the context of trying to learn how
เรา
to
คือเรา
do
เรา
Muay
วาง
Thai.
แผนยังไง
It's true in just being more natural and not straining
อาจารย์ละสิคน
in the world, right?
อ๋อ16 คน
ใช่ค่ะ
16แล้วก็วน
ใช่
16
ใช่
แล้วก็วน
ใช่20 นาที
We're talking about the seminar again.
คลาสหนึ่ง16 คน
ใช่แต่ว่าทำสไตล์เองแล้วแต่อาจารย์
อ่า
So here he's really focusing on that waist
ดีกว่าถูก
twist.
ป่ะ
And I haven't figured out the leg quite yet. See how I'm bending my knee
อ่าดีกว่า
towards the other one? That's good, but I'm still at my landing point, like at my farthest reaching point with that
อย่า
cross.
ลืมต้องมา
I'm still really wide, like I'm basically square.
I was staying wide, like finishing here, and it's too wide. You have to bring your knee like all the way.
เข้าข้างในถูกต้อง
So I'm bringing my heel up,
เยี่ยม
but my heel should actually be twisting all the way to the outside on the left to really get that knee to turn.
สวยบิดเอวมาบิดเอวมาเยอะๆเยอะๆอ่าบิดเอว
So he's just watching and he's trying to see
เยี่ยมบิดเข้ามา
where I land with the full twist of the
แล้ว
waist.
ซิบี้ยับขวา
He's
ยับ
like,
ขวา
jab.
นี่ดูเอวซิบี้
When you jab, you turn your waist. He's like, when you jab, you turn your waist good.
น้อยมากสวย
So
เล
you
ย
should be able to do this.
สวยไหมสวย
On the cross.
ต่อยซ้ายอ่า
But when I jab, my front leg, the knee points so hard because I'm twisting my heel.
ไม่ได้ไม่ได้ไม่ได้
But I have a hard time when I'm trying to turn the back leg because I'm not twisting it enough. My front leg tries to compensate by like spinning out a little bit. So like on my right foot, my toes will point out at a 45-degree angle to compensate. And he's saying you don't have to do that. You can keep your front foot straight
เอาใหม่มาดิ
and really twist the heel on the back one.
ถ้ามันจะให้เหมือนกับธรรมชาติให้มันเห็นชัดคือเวลาเราก้าวขวาไป
Oh, God. See how his upper body does not look like he's doing anything special? But when you look down below, that back leg is completely twisting.
เยี่ยมก้าวไป
all that power.
เดี๋ยวไป
And see how I lean forward a little bit to try to catch my balance
ดีตรงไปเร็ว
because I'm not
เยี่ยม
quite turning that knee enough. That allows you to stay on your same track, basically.
ต่อยเป็นร้อยอ่ะ ต่อยเป็นหลายร้อยครั้ง
He's saying you're gonna have to do this many hundreds of times.
มีพลังไหม
I think it's in
ที
the
นี้
thousands
เราจะ
before
ได้
it's
เท่าไหร่
really
เรา
good, but
ที่เรา
yeah.
ส่งไปเลยถูกป่ะ
ใช่
เราคุมได้แล้ว
ใช่
เราคุมพลังได้แล้ว
ใช่
พลังที่เราส่งไป
But I
ส่ง
can
เท่าไหร่
feel the difference.
เวลามีคนนะ
I'm trying to explain to him that when there's someone in front of me, I totally just don't
feeling
do the same things that I feel when I'm shadowing. It's like I think I have to do something different for some
หา
reason.
วันไหนว่างมาลงรวม
ใช่
แล้วฟิลลิ่งอาจารย์ก็จะบอกแนะนำได้ว่าแนะทางได้ว่า
ใช่
ฟิลลิ่งต้องเป็นอย่างนี้ฟิลลิ่งต้อง
He's talking about as a teacher,
พอเราต่อยบ่อย
he just teaches his students how to feel something. He doesn't tell them how to fight or what to do or anything like that.
ๆทำเอง
He just
จริงๆมันจะ
shows them how to
มันจะมี
train
ปัญหาตรงนี้แหละเวลา
to
เราต่อย
develop
เนี่ย
this
ส่วนใหญ่
feeling,
ที่มีปัญหาคือจะรีบไง
and then if they can bring it in the ring, they're great.
พอรีบปุ๊บไม่มีอะไรจริงๆแล้วมันไม่ต้องรีบมันก็ปังปังปัง
He's like, you don't have to rush.
ปังปังปังพอแล้ว
See how fast that
ปัง
is?
พอแล้ว
And to him, it feels slow, like
ตัว
it's
อย่างจะ
just
เป็นอย่างเงี้ย
his pace.
ใช่รีบแต่
รีบ
ช้า
ไม่โดน
He's like, you go fast, but you don't hit anything.
มีเข้าไป
It's like the A team. They fire machine guns and never hit
ดี
anything.
น่ะดีน่ะมีเข้าไปส่งเข้าไปพลังแขนถูกต้องเลยน่ะนั่นแหละพลัง
So
แขน
see how
ถู
I'm
กต้องเลย
dragging my back foot, but I'm not popping that heel?
เนี่ยพลังแขนเนี่ย
My
ที่พี่ทำถูก
my
แล้ว
heel needs to be basically turning towards the camera.
พลังมันไม่อยู่ตรงนู้น
It's like you have a counterweight
And
on
then-
your elbow.
I'm popping my elbow out as a counterweight,
พลังอยู่ตรงนี้
but really it should be like I have a
ดี
weight
แล้วนี่ตอนนี้ดีแล้ว
dropping from the bottom of my elbow so that it just straightens at the last moment because my hip has turned enough. I don't need to straighten my arm. It'll straighten itself when the waist has turned
Yeah.
to its farthest point. That's a little better.
พร้อมกันพร้อมกัน
You can see at the farthest point of my punch how my body is kind of like seed out a little bit. I think it doesn't need to be that way. I think it
Ooh, you
needs to
sit
be
down a
actually
little
more
bit.
straight.
Yeah, the knee. Yeah.
ความเร็วอยู่ที่เราแล้วพอเราต่อยถูก ความเร็วแล้วอยู่ที่เราจะเอาเร็วแค่ไหน
ใช่
มันไม่ใช่เร็วแบบนี้แล้วแต่มันเร็วแบบ
ใช่
เร็วที่ไปด้วยกัน
He's talking about how speed itself
นะ
comes from that turn. When he does it, it's so incredible. Like, I want to feel what he's doing.
ไปฝึกอีกธรรมชาติต้องหายได้
So there I'm turning my heel a little bit, but I'm still dragging that foot.
พอหาธรรมชาติตรงนี้ได้
I should just be turning my knee into the other
I
knee.
can see the flex in your knee that I never seen before.
So Kevin can see the difference because now I'm bending my knee, whereas before I kind of wasn't at all. So this is an improvement because I've moved towards it,
ขวายับดีมาก
but I'm still not twisting my waist to the extent that that particular technique has the capacity for.
I can see it.
So I'm kind of sitting down in it. But if I stayed upright and just really rotated that heel, I think that's the answer.
Work back with style.
But I can feel the difference between what I started with and what I'm doing here. So it's like a baby step in the right direction. So he's saying you don't have to sit down. See how upright he stays? And then his shoulder
เยี่ยม
just comes forward, and that's what makes the arm come
มัน
out
อยู่ที่
straight.
เราต้องแต่งยืนแล้วรู้ป่ะเมื่อก่อนซิลวี่ยืนอย่างนี้ไงใช่ไหมซิลวี่ยืนอย่างเงี้ย
He's saying before you looked like
ยืนอย่าง
this.
เงี้ยธรรมดามันจะมวยไม่เป็นเราต้องยืนสูง
Just marching in place.
ธรรมดาให้เราถนัดง่ายๆยืนสบาย
He's like, look how relaxed.
ยืน
Just
ง่าย
move. You can
ออก
kick
ไป
from
ง่าย
here.
ยืนสบาย
Just move around.
ออกง่ายๆยืนสบายถ้ายืนอย่างเงี้ย
Don't be stiff like this.
เข่ามันตึงไปไงมันต้องเหมือนกับเราเล่นบาสเกตบอลอ่ะมันต้อง
He said it's the same basketball.
ถูกไหมบาสเกตบอลมันต้องย่อ
See how he's kind of squatting, moving with his
แล้วก็ประ
knees?
มาณนั้นเลย
ใช่
And I said that's actually a really good example because they change direction so fast in
ถ้ายืน
basketball.
เปลี่ยนยาก
ใช่
เยี่ยมดีบิดเข้าไปดีขึ้นเอวดีขึ้นไปเร็วพร้อมๆกัน
He can see the difference here, and so he's saying that's good.
เยี่ยม
But again, when I'm watching it on the screen, I can see this shape in my body that I don't see
เยี่ยม
in the shape of his
เยี่ยม
body.
ดี
That's good.
Yeah.
Now I know how to correct that.
เยี่ยม
But
ซ้าย
I have to
ขวาดีมาก
get up and do it and feel it so that I can then do it again.
อืม
So I start adding the hook in order to bring a little bit more symmetry
ดีดึงไป
and bring in the things that I've worked the most on, because those are the things I can feel more clearly.
เยี่ยม
And he's saying it's good. Like, as I finish with it, he's like, yeah, that's right. And I'm like, nitya, nitya. Like, it's just these tiny incremental feeling changes. This is the thing. Like, if you get frustrated because someone made you throw a jab cross for an hour, you're not feeling anything. I'm excited to be throwing a jab cross for an hour because I'm learning all of the distinct differences in those feelings to get it right.
ต้องเยี่ยม
So there I'm trying to use my
สวย
foot
เลย
in the front to kind of force that turn on the cross.
เนี่ยพลังมีพลังไหมมีพลัง
He's like, can you feel the power in it? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit. I can feel the relaxation, and then there's
ส่งพลังไว้นี่
power on the end of it.
มันไม่ใช่ พลังอยู่ตรงนี้ปุ๊บ
Basically, you feel the power
นั่นแหละ
in your front two knuckles and not anywhere else. Like, you don't want to feel it in your arm
แต่
or
ถ้า
your
มาพลัง
shoulder.
ตรงนี้เบาตรงนี้แรง
He's like, if all of your power is in your shoulder, you hit with nothing. Like, you touch, like the Bugs Bunny cartoon with the, like, bomb that comes and then just, like, barely taps at the
นี่
end.
เลยถูกต้องถูกต้องถูกต้อง
See, I'm pulling my shoulder back a little bit now. That's because of my foot turning first. My front foot allows me to transfer my weight to the back. And then if I turned my back foot heel as much as I need to, then the cross would be as hard as it can be.
คนเปลี่ยนแปลงที่นี่หมดแหละ
ใช่
ลูกศิษย์วาซิมเห็นไหมที่อาจารย์ให้ดูตอนชกที่สิงคโปร์
ใช่
He's asking me if I'd seen one of his students, Vasily, who's from Russia. He showed me a fight of his last time where he was fighting in Singapore.
แม่นด้วย
And he's totally talking about what he's trying to talk to me about, which is like keeping this relaxed pace, that the speed is in the technique, but it's not like rushing. What was incredible to me about watching this fighter, Vasily, is he's not like a super high level fighter.
เนี่ย
He's very good, but he's not super experienced. If you plucked his opponent out of the ring, he would look like he was doing incredible shadow boxing. But because he had an opponent, he was doing the exact same thing as he would be doing with really beautiful shadow boxing, which is what I have to figure out how to do, or literally just have to do. I don't have to figure it out.
เดือนเนี้ยมาเหมือนกันดิสมันเนี่ยทำมาแล้วมาอยู่นี่เลยเขามาอยู่แถวนี้เลยเดือนหน้า
He's saying that this guy he was just talking about is coming to train in April.
ลองเลยนะอยู่ยาวเลยอยู่ที่เลยจริง
This gym is brand new. They just built it and he just moved. He's been in Bangkok forever, but this is a new space.
เยี่ยม
It's cool that his like students are starting to come in and fill the new space.
สวยงาม
So you can see, if you just watch my feet, like don't pay attention to my upper body because it doesn't matter. You can see whether or not I'm doing it right just by watching my feet. This is one of the secrets,
เยี่ยม
especially in training in Thailand if you don't speak
สวย
Thai.
งาม
Watch your trainer's feet when they're showing you something.
รู้สึกว่าช้าไหมไม่เวลาทำเรารู้สึกว่าช้า
He's like, does that feel slow to you? And I'm like, no. I mean, it feels like relaxed at a good pace, but the speed is there, even though it doesn't feel like I'm rushing, which is really nice.
เยี่ยม
So now I'm just messing around. Like, I'm just adding together things that we worked on earlier, the things that I've been working on for the past month since the last time I saw him, like trying to apply the things that I felt in this session to those other things that I'm more comfortable with as I go and making these small adjustments. So if I'm comfortable bringing my weight over and then throwing the hook, now I'm trying to do that with the shoulder rolling as well.
สวยงาม
It's better than when I started in just an hour. It's really good.
Yeah.
The only difference in that amount of time is whether I could feel it or not. It's 100% what he's saying all the time.
ไม่ได้
It's just about feeling.
ไปอีกเอวไปอีกเอวเอวไปอีกเอว
He's saying go more, like turn your waist
นั่น
more.
แหละปั๊บ
There I'm starting to bend my back, legs, knee in more
Sủi,
naturally. Like I don't
sủi.
think about it as
ส
much.
วยดีมาก
It's just these tiny, tiny off balances, like
ไม่ต้องรีบ
being relaxed in it.
เวลาลงจังหวะขาเนี่ยลงจังหวะขาเนี่ย
He's saying the rhythm of your legs is important.
แล้วเราทำอะไรทำบาก
นี่ผิดไหม
ผิด
So he was just peg legging, and I'm like, wait, that's not right.
เบาๆ
I was joking.
ลงเบาๆถ้าลง
It's like a baby stumbling forward or something. Like it's
ถูกป่ะต้องค่อยๆ
so awkward.
ค่อยๆเบา
But see how it's just a bend in his knees really is what allows that movement to be different
ๆสบาย
from the like staggering
เคลื่อน
baby.
ไหวแบบนั้นแหละถูกต้องเยี่ยมเยี่ยมแค่นี้พอ
He's like, this is enough. This is totally fine. You just kind of like
เคลื่อนไหวแค่นี้พอ
do that
ไม่ต้อง
tons and like feel all of the difference. He's like, you don't have to do this like shuffling of feet nonsense. He doesn't like footwork like this. It's unnecessary.
ถูกต้องจังหวะเยี่ยมยับสวยเลย
Super like effective, efficient, minimal.
เบิร์ดอะอืม
That's
เยี่ยม
better.
ดูดีเวลาฮุกดูดีอืม
It's all about smoothing out the
เยี่ยมยับสวย
I don't know, strain or effort. Like
บาลานซ์พลังโอ้
Don't
ยับตอนนี้พลังดีมาก
don't keep the effort as you get better at things. Like become
อ่า
smoother and efficient through
ดี
feeling it.
เยี่ยมดีเอาง่ายๆไม่มีพักเลย
This is one of the things about the like the hack or whatever that in the West people always want like a shortcut to something is that you can't shortcut being able to feel something really well.
แต่เราต้อง
Like
เก็บออกตลอด
one of the interesting things to me about Mayweather, who's not a fighter who I really like, is that he looks really effortless and hides how much effort he's put in. But that's because he feels all of these things because he's put in a great amount of time doing all of these things. So like
เตรียมพร้อมตลอด
the effortlessness is not a shortcut. The effortlessness is actually an indication of how much time and effort has gone into that point.
เยี่ยมดีมากนั่นแหละ
And the difference between my movement when I started today and my movement now in this single day,
ลงมาล้านหนึ่ง
I don't get to keep that unless I keep doing it. Like I only get to keep that progress if I keep working on finding that feeling and editing out all of the unnecessary
บาลาน
parts.
ซ์ดีบาลานซ์อย่างนี้ดีมากเลยอันนี้เวลาต่อยหมัด
Like even there, he was just showing me how I had blown out one of my lines. Like I came outside of my frame
ปั๊บ
unnecessarily.
นั่นแหละ
And so he's showing me how to like
ดีมาก
do that same move staying in the frame.
ดึงมาดีๆบาลานซ์ดีๆเยี่ยม
Just checking balance.
สวยพัก
So here, I'm taking the punches out and just feeling it with the feet and the turning of the shoulders. And then I add the punches back in, and it should be the same
เก่งทำได้เร็ว
between the no arms and arms.
ทำได้เร็วแต่ว่าไม่นานหรอกก็นานแล้วอ่ะ เรียนได้หลายครั้งแล้ว แต่ว่ามันไม่ค่อยเข้าใจไง
ใช่
มันไม่ค่อยเข้าใจ
He's like, it's you just have to be able to understand these things, like in each lesson. If you understand one little part and can start working on that, it's hugely valuable.
ทุ่งโดนแล้วก็แพนรวม ไม่รู้ทำอะไรซิมี่โอเคฝึกซ้อมดีเก่งโอเคซ้อมดีแต่ว่าไปชกมวยเวลากลัวตกใจลืม
So I'm basically talking about how I can do all of these things and make this progress in training, but then under the pressure of having someone in front of me,
แต่อาจารย์ไม่ได้บอกให้เขา
I
ทำ
forget
ตาม
everything. Like I get off balance and my punches get wide, and just the stress
ให้เขาซ้อม
becomes
แบ
the
บนี้แบบนี้
primary
แบบนี้
thing
แบบนี้หลบแบบนี้
that
ต่อยแบบนี้หลบแบบนี้แบบนี้ตอกแบบนี้
operates
อะไรเงี้ย
me rather
ให้เขา
than
ทำให้
the
เขาชินตรงนี้
relaxation and balance
แต่
being
ไม่
the
ใช่เขา
primary
คิด
thing.
ให้เขาคิดว่าต้องต่อยอย่างนี้นะ ต้องทำแผนนี้ไม่ใช่ แต่อาจารย์ให้ซ้อ
And he's
ม
explaining again, he never gives
ซ้อม
anyone a plan.
ซ้อม
He's
แล้ว
never
ก็
like, do this in this fight or do that in this
ใช้
fight.
ใช้ความจำของร่างกายมากกว่า
Because that's
ใช้
not what you do in training. You
อ่า
train and train and
ไม่ต้อง
train to be
ไม่
able
ต้อง
to
ไป
do
ใช้
it in
ตัว
any
คิดจำ
situation,
ว่ายังไงแล้วคิดเยอะ
under any kind of pressure, with any
He
opponent.
teaches
It
people,
should
like,
be the
teaches them
same.
how to train, but not like what to do in a fight or like how to fight or any of those things because that has to be nature.
You need to spar.
Yeah.
And so sparring
Okay.
is where I need to learn how to feel all of these things in that pressure.
ค่อนข้างไม่มี
And so I'm explaining to him that
ผู้ชาย
as
ตั
a
วใหญ่
woman,
มาก
it's really hard to get the same kind of training that he gives to his fighters and what he grew up with as a man. It's just not the same.
ก็ไป
I've been in
ชก
Thailand
บ่อย
6 years, and I do not
So,
get
sparring
the kind of sparring that I've
see you
always
spar.
needed, and
Yeah,
that
you
like
have to come
your
spar
most
with
basic,
Yeah.
so that he knows.
good level
you have
Lumpini
to see.
male fighter has.
Yeah, you have to see.
So I'm like, my 200 fights is basically my sparring. That's how I get a lot of my sparring. And it's a higher amount of pressure in fights, so you kind of make very incremental progress in them.
After she training about with me already,
Yeah.
yeah. Later maybe she can do Muay Thai.
So
again.
he's saying, after you learn from me doing boxing, you can kick the bags and like do Muay Thai. I think that he's worried that me working only on boxing is not applicable to me being a Muay Thai fighter. That's an insecurity on his part because everything he teaches me here, exactly what we just worked on, applies to Muay Thai. Whether you're throwing a punch or throwing a kick, it's the exact same turn and weight transfer and shift. Like the first time I had a eureka moment of what he was teaching me, which was just jab cross and where my weight was on doing them, it revolutionized my Muay Thai. It changed everything. It made everything better just from that first understanding. So training with him like this and having like 3 or 4 within an hour and a half is like finding a diamond mine or something. It's incredible.
ถ้าคนโอ้เจ็บไม่ได้นะเขาทิ้งแล้วถ้าโอเคใจดีเขาโอเค
We're talking about Ajahn Sarat, who trains the Thai national team, and Chatchai is talking about how scary he is. He's like a very severe man. He's amazing. But both Chatchai and Karahat know him, and he used to train Karahat way back in the day for I don't know how long or for what reason. But I'm sure that to be a young man under his tutelage is really intense. So look at how he's turning my heel finally to the full extent of what it should be at the end of that punch.
เข้าง่ายนะ
ใช่
I did not even realize how exaggerated it had to be,
I do
but
It hurts?
it looks crazy on my legs,
so severe that it feels
but
like
it totally makes that punch
You are.
up top the way it needs to be.
The general.
you're totally able to move again.
It's the general.
Kevin, when I made it this exaggerated, Kevin saw immediately that it's very similar to what Ajahn Tanwakom,
That is what
the
pulls your hip
Lertrit
forward.
Karat
Like
master,
you have to. Your hip has to
teaches
come
in that
You also have
system.
to
That's all about
have to
twisting
kind
your
of-
waist as well.
step.
And weight transfer, yeah.
So
When
I
he
actually
goes,
have to step
he
my
looks like
right
he is
foot
like an
over
elephant.
a
He's
little
going
bit
to turn.
in order to accommodate that
It's
punch.
It's that elephant side to side.
I can do it without that step, but I should move that front leg first in order to like feel the same movement.
Take a break.
This is the first time I've ever hit a bag with Chatchai. He's the first few times we trained together, it was only shadow, and then he introduced pad work a little while ago, and this is the first time hitting the bag. So
มองแถวเนี้ยพอแล้วใช้ความรู้สึกเอา
he's
ใช้ความรู้สึก
talking about how you don't have to like look at anything in particular.
โดนแล้ว
It's good enough just to look at someone's jaw or like the top of their chest because you feel the punch. It's not about tracking with your eyes. And so he's showing me how to do that with the bag. Like, just feel
Says
the
you
target.
don't have to look at anybody. He just right here is fine. But I pull my
feeling
head away.
I was complaining to him that I pull my head away, which is a fear response. It's not about trying to track things. But he, in response to that, was saying, don't pull your head away because it makes you off balance. But the problem is not that you can't see your target.
อ่อนๆอย่างนั้นดีไปอย่างนั้นเลยไปแบบอ่อนๆไปรู้สึกแบบเต้นรำ dancing เลย
He said it's the same as dancing. You should just feel it come out.
ก็
ถูกต้อง
ใช่ไหม
So there I tucked my elbow in towards my belly button and it came out straight. And you cannot turn your face when you do that. So it's because my elbow is coming up that the punch comes wide and I'm able to turn my face away. If I like plaster my elbow in towards my waist, I can't turn away.
ตอนนี้ยัดดีมากยัดโอเคเลยยัด
So he's excited about how strong
นี่
my jab
เนี่ย
is.
ตอนนู้นสมัครอย่างเงี้ย
And I'm just trying to bring that same twist of that back leg that I just was working on in shadow into actually hitting a target. This is a perfect intermediary between my difficulty with tracking and pad work and my ability to do things in
He's like, why
shadow
is your right hand so strong? And he's like, oh, that's right, you're orthodox.
because the bag doesn't move. It's a pretty central target. He was watching my jab and he's like, God, your jab is so strong. Like, why is your front side so strong? And then he was like, oh, that's right. I forgot you used to be right-handed. I am right-handed, but fighting right-handed. And then Karahat changed me. And particularly for that reason is to put your power on the front side.
ขยับเนี่ยมันอยู่ที่เราแล้วอยู่ที่เรากับคู่ต่อสู้ว่าเขาอยู่ตรงไหน เพราะเวลาเราขยับเนี่ยถ้าเขาอยู่ไกลอย่างนี้ เราต้องขยับไกลใช่ไหมขยับยาว
So he's saying that if you're far enough away and you have to take a step, that's fine. If you're close enough that you don't have to take a step, still just move that foot.
อยู่ใกล้ๆปุ๊บไม่ต้องขยับ
Watch his right foot.
ไปเลยก็ได้แต่
He didn't move it there.
แต่อยู่เนี่ยแล้วเวลาอยู่ใกล้ๆเนี่ยเราขยับ
But see how he does a little tap to bring the same feeling and movement that he would have if he were.
So if you're far, obviously you take a step.
Taking
if
a
you're
step.
really close and you don't need a step, he still just moves his foot.
You move it?
Because it feels, you can just throw it from
Yeah,
a
yeah.
standstill, but
But it feels weird.
So
Yeah.
it's like a
So
little,
see that little tap?
It's a little step.
That was the little secret I figured out on
โอเค
pads,
ป่ะ
and then I forgot about it.
ขยับนิดเดียวนั่นแหละทุกครั้งต้องมีสเต็ปทุกครั้งต้องมีสเต็ปใกล้ๆก็มีสเต็ป
It's like if you're close enough, you don't have to take the step. Just
ข
move
ยั
the
บขา
foot.
ไปตลอดสบายๆขาจะได้สบาย
The important part is to
Yeah.
stay relaxed and just
ๆเยี่ยม
feel everything the same way I felt it in shadow,
เห็นไหม
but with something on the end of my punch,
เนี่ย
basically.
ที่มันคือที่มากับตรงนี้แหละ คือมันมาทั้งหมดมาจากตรงนี้แหละ เหมือนกับเราขยับไง ขยับมาก็โป้ง ขยับมาก็โป้งขยับมา
See
ก็
how he
โป้ง
goes side to side?
ขยับมาโป้งมันขยับได้หมด ทุกครั้ง
Oh, so pretty. And that's from his feet. He's just doing the same like tapping thing with his feet that he just did.
เยี่ยมดีขึ้นเยี่ยมยับดีมากยับดีมาก
So I have to turn my waist on that cross. So see how the swinging of the bag interrupts me and I lose my feeling on things and I kind of have to like stop for a second? That's something I have to like edit out the like basically blind spots I have in my own feeling. There are like these gaps in my ability to feel everything moving
ใกล้
together.
ไกลต้องขยับต้องใกล้ไกลต้องขยับ
I'm not turning my heel enough. I could feel it.
ขยับดี
ท่านต้องทำมากกว่าทำ
So I'm saying that when you practice it, you exaggerate it. And then when you bring it into the ring,
ก็เวลาฝึก
it's
ๆต้องใจเยอะใช่
less
ให้
like
ให้
it
ความรู้สึก
doesn't
ไง
look quite
เหมือน
like
อาจารย์
that.
เคยบอกว่าสมมติว่า
And so he's going to show the
หมัด
difference
หมัดจริงๆมันต้อง
between
ต่อย
his
อย่างนี้
shadow.
อย่างนี้
See, I was doing it slow and like really exaggerated.
เบสิกพื้นฐานต่อยอย่างนี้
And then he's like, when you go fight, it
แต่เวลา
feels
ต่อย
the
เร็วมองไม่
same,
ทัน
but you pull it in. See how
แต่มัน
fast?
ฟีลลิ่งแล้วฟีลลิ่งมันมาแล้ว
Same feeling.
ฟีลลิ่งมันมาแล้วฟีลลิ่งมันมาแล้วเห็นไหมปุ้งปุ้งปุ้งปุ้งปุ้งฟีลลิ่งมา
Jesus
ปุ้ง
Christ.
ฟีลลิ่งมาหมด
It's that same
He
thing
just
where you
busts
practice
into that from
something
nothing.
big.
It's so
And then when
incredible.
you actually, so like when he's doing everything really slow and it's like exaggerated, but then when you actually go do things, it feels the same. You're taking the feeling from it, even though it's like pulled together a little bit.
This is really good practice just doing the same thing over and over again because fatigue starts to shape what it feels like. It feels different under fatigue. So you should be able to pull the same technique out of when you feel really good and when you feel more tired because you shouldn't be like out of power because you weren't using power to do it in the first place.
ถอยความมาติดแขนไปไม่ได้ติดแขน
So here he's showing me how to
เพราะเรา
like
ไม่เป็นไร
screw
ที่อาจารย์ให้บิดเนี่ยพอเรา
the
บิด
strikes at the very end in order to slip
คือพอเราบิด
past
เนี่ยมันจะเหมือน
the
กับ
guard.
ใช่
หลบเข้ามา
ใช่
ถ้าอยู่
See how it just slips past, whereas if I don't turn it,
ไปไม่
it
ได้
gets
แต่ต้อง
stuck.
มาเข้าใจยัง
It's like a
เหตุผล
drill.
เห
It's
ตุผล
just
ที่อ
a
ย่างนี้แหละ
twist of your wrist at the very end.
นั่นแหละ
So I'm punching through his guard
มัน
and
ไม่
just
ใช่
like
ที่ให้บิดบ่อยๆ
just
เนี่ย
slipping past by that slight turn at the very end.
สว่านอะ
Drill.
สว่าน
He's saying you can't
อ่ะ
nail a
มันก็
screw.
ปุ๊บมันก็ทะลุ
You have to
เข้าไป
twist it.
ถ้าสว่านพุ่งไปตรงเนี้ย
Won't
ไม่
go.
ไปไม่ไป
ใช่
แต่ถ้า
ใช่
มันก็ไป
You can't nail a screw.
same thing
ใช่
Same thing.
ที่บอกให้หมุนอย่างเงี้ย
I love
เหตุผล
when
คือ
he
แบบนี้
speaks
แหละ
English.
เอา
Same
คัดเหมือน
thing.
กันเอาคัดถ้าเอาคัดมาแบบนี้
See how I get stuck?
ติดไม่ไป
But if I just twist my wrist, it
นี่
goes past.
มันปุ๊บขึ้นมา
ไป
Whoop.
ฮุกเหมือนกันฮุก
Hook,
ฮุก
same.
ถ้าฮุกมาอยู่อย่างนี้ติด
The hook to
ไม่
me
ไป
is the most
แต่ถ้า
interesting
ฮุก
of
แล้ว
the three because his hook, he does not raise his elbow at all. It's like the golden kick.
ปุ๊บมามันก็
His fist comes up, and then the turning of his waist is what pulls it over. And then he kind of angles it down.
น่ะข้อมือด้วยเนี่ย
Look at that little twist on the end.
ถูกต้องปุ๊บ
Whoosh.
มันเหมือนกันเซมติ้งกับเวลาเรา
It's like same thing.
เรายับเราก็
All
ต้อง
of
ใช้
these, same
ปุ๊บ
thing.
ใช่
ข้อมือ
ใช่
ปุ๊บ
ใช่
โดน
ใช่
อันนี้ต่อยมาปุ๊บข้อมือ
So see how the
เหมือน
twist
กัน
is just at the very end? It's just before hitting the target.
ปุ๊บ
You don't do it close to your body. That slows it down and makes it tense.
ตรง
มันทะลุเข้าไปไง
So now I'm trying to twist it on the bag, hitting the target. Just bringing the new information into what I've been working on. It should feel more or less the same, but with one more detail.
ปุ๊บขึ้นมาปุ๊บขึ้นมา
So see how he's twisting his wrist on the
อาจาร
uppercut?
ย์ตั้งไว้อย่างนี้
I'm not doing
เวลา
that.
มาอาจารย์เวลาดึงมาปุ๊บเวลาอาจารย์ไป
Boop. I was trying to get the angle by the way I was turning my body,
อันนี้หมุนชุบ
but turning the body is what hides it. And then as it comes up, it's a slight
ต้อง
turning of the wrist and keeping the elbow in tight.
Like a fish.
ถูก
So I should just be scraping the bag with my front two knuckles on that.
ทำไม
เยี่ยม
Like swimming, baby.
So Kevin's saying
Clinch
swim in
swimming.
because I forgot about turning my waist because I was focusing so much on turning the wrist.
เยี่ยม
There, I wasn't turning my body at all.
ไม่ไปอาจารย์ถนัดซ้ายอาจารย์เวลาอาจารย์
Watch his angles.
เห็นไหมอาจารย์เข้านี่เลย
See how it just comes forward a little bit, whereas mine was just coming up.
Almost general like. Look how
Look
it
at
come
his
out
feet
to the
and his
side.
waist though when he does
It's
that.
like the general.
Not what I'm doing. It's okay. I'm overdoing it, and it's not quite right. But
บิดเข้าไป
eventually,
บิดเข้าไป
by doing it more
บิ
and
ดไปเยอะๆบิดไปเยอะไม่เป็นไรบิดเข้าไปเยอะ
accidentally doing it right a few times, I can start chipping away at the excess on that.
อืมอืม
Better on the front side. It's kind of hard on that rear uppercut.
อืม
And there I'm hitting with my pinky knuckle because I'm not
อืม
twisting and keeping the elbow in tight
ส
enough.
วยบิดเข้ามาเวลาอาจารย์ฮุกอาจาร
So
ย์ฮุก
this
ต่อ
is cool. This is when he's saying when I hit a bag for a hook, I don't hit it flush. I clip it. Look at how he clips the bag. He has me move so that I can see the actual angle.
เห็นไหมปุ๊บ
Side.
ดันมันออกไป
He's still hitting with his front knuckles. You don't hit with the side of your hand. You hit with your front knuckles and then like drive by off. You're just
แบบนั้น
clipping the
แบบ
chin.
นั้นลักษณะฟิลลิ่งแบบนั้นปุ๊บออกมาเลยดูดออกมา
Clip.
นั่นแหละ
Clip.
อาจารย์เคยบอกใช่ไหมว่าหมัดทุกไม่ใช่หมัดเข้าไดเรกเข้าไปหาเป้า
Side.
He's like, you don't want to hit the
Huh?
jaw like thud.
ผ่าน
You wanna clip it.
Did knee. Come on. Did knee.
So I was hitting with the outside of my wrist, which I know is wrong.
อ่า
So I was
นั่นแหละ
trying to figure
เข้
out
ตรงนี้
how to hit with the correct knuckles and pull it off.
นั่นแหละ
And it's actually hooking the arm.
แค่เฉียวๆเนี่ย อันเนี้ยแรงมาก
He's like, this is incredibly powerful when you just like knuckle the chin, basically.
บิดเข้าไปนะบิดเข้ามาบิดข้อมือเข้ามาถูกต้องประมาณนั้นแหละ
So I took my gloves off so that I could feel where I was hitting.
นั่นแหละบิดเข้ามาอืม
I like that he allows you to not really hit the bag, but you're
เรา
hitting
ไม่
the
ต้อง
bag.
ต้องการที่ให้มันโดนเต็มหมัดเต็มปากอย่างนี้ไม่ใช่
He's like, that's no good to like hit flush on the side. You want to clip the
เดียว
chin. And I was saying it's the same with elbows. Like elbows should not be thudding like a club. They should be
นั่นแหละ
like whoosh, going by. That's what
เยี่ยม
cuts.
บิดเข้ามา
And he said it
หมัด
is
เข้า
the
อย่างนั้
same.
นสวยงามดีไหม
That feels good. Like I
Yeah.
can feel how that hook works together. I started adding
Nice, baby. Nice.
the cross back so that I could feel it
Understand.
in the symmetry of those two strikes. And then I reversed it so that the hook is first and then there's a cross.
ก้าวหน่อยก้าวหน่อยปั๊บถูกต้องก้าวหน่อย
So he's watching for whether I'm
เยี่ยม
getting the right twist to clip
เฉียวเลย
the jaw. I'm just grazing the bag, sometimes not even hitting it.
เยี่ยม
I'm trying to remember to pull the shoulder back.
เยี่ยม
You like that one?
You understand?
Because I exaggerated the shoulder pull. And my weight comes onto my back foot as I'm doing that hook. So you end up hooking the arm by your weight coming back.
ถูกต้องนะ
ต้อง
ขาขยับ
It feels really good.
ต้อง
I
มาก
really like that hook. I throw it a lot because I like how it feels. So I'm now adding it together with that cross that I had been having a hard time with and trying to remember the twist with that. So it should be like this totally symmetrical, like hard to the right, hard to the left, like swish, swish.
ก็ต้องขยับเตะปั๊บบ้างก็ต้องยืนตลอดไม่ว่าเตะ
He's saying it's the same with kicks.
เตะปั๊บก็ต้องยืน
See how
ปั๊บขยับขยับเห็นไหมขาขยับเวลายิง
he's not using a lot of power.
ขยับ
It's all in the same flow.
เยี่ยมถูกต้อง
So I'm trying to keep my rhythm going, which I do not do on the bag at home.
ต่อยซ้ายสวย
So I'm gonna have to start bringing that with me.
ต่อยซ้ายมีพลังไหมมีพลัง
He's asking whether or not I feel the power. Because the important part is whether I feel it, not whether he's telling me that it's there.
ว่านิดหน่อยจำได้
So I'm saying it's little by little that I get it right more often with more consistency. Because I'll forget small elements that make it relaxed and easy. So by forgetting those elements, I'm bringing in tension that I don't need.
เยี่ยม
So here I'm just trying to get the symmetry, the side to side, and I'm like using the same things I used in shadow and using the bag as like an intermediary to bringing it into the ring with me. I'm trying to get those uppercuts and the like twist of the wrist that he was showing me at the very end of strikes. And because the bag swings a little bit, it forces me to
เยี่ยม
have rhythm in different directions than if I'm just sitting there. I can feel that my elbows are coming out and I'm getting a little bit wide.
ระยะมันเยอะนะใช่ไหมระยะมันไกล
So he's like, hit a narrower target. So I go over on this one because it's smaller. And so by hitting a narrower target, I'm actually twisting better, which means that mentally seeing a bigger target like that fooled me into thinking I didn't have to twist as hard. should be exactly the same no matter what I'm hitting.
ใช่ใช่
When he moves side to side like what I was just doing. Like he chops through his opponent with his footwork. So I need to start doing
แต่
that.
ว่าสำคัญก็คือคอนโทรลบาลานซ์ทางซ้ายให้ได้
ใช่
So you come over to the opposite side and then deliver the power by bringing your weight back.
ถูกต้อง
Very symmetrical.
อืม
The bag there felt better. So I should be able to do it on the big one and feel the same.
สวยเลย